Hello. Saudi's life in Spain. Arrived about 2 months ago to Barcelona to do my master's. It's a quiet journey, and I want to share some of them. I mean, the most interesting part for me is the language barrier. It's crazy. I thought, living in Spain would be easy, like a tourist destination that everybody speaks English. And whenever I traveled to Spain in the past, like 4 or 5 times, I never had a problem with the language. I mean, living in a hotel or a resort, and even these restaurants nearby a tourist attraction, you always speak English. But when I moved into Spain, oh my God, like it's crazy, it's crazy. Even in the university itself, hardly anyone speaks English. That's what I want to talk about. But before that, I want to tell you about the process of coming to Spain for education. It's quite different than that of the US and Canada, which I had experience with. I mean, the American and the Canadian university admission and visa is quite straightforward. You just pay the fees, upload your transcript, get admission, go to the embassy and get a visa. For the Spanish one, oh my God. I believe that's why there's hardly any Saudis in Spain for education. It took me a long, 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 hard journey, starting from finding an office to do my admission. I mean, even in Spanish, and there are stuff that I have no idea how to go about. So I searched the web and I went right and left. I couldn't find any. I mean, the closest thing that I could find is an office in Jordan. And when I called them, said that they don't do anything with the Saudis. You have to find another place. And I begged the guy until he found me a contact information of one of his cousins who live in Spain in order to finish the translation and all the paperwork. And then when I went to the embassy, all the requirements are quite like odd when it comes to Saudi. I mean, it's not that common. Like one of the requirements were like having a drug test. And when I went to the official hospital to do the drug test, they said we cannot give it to you unless you have a valid reason. I said, what kind of valid reason you have? Say either joining the army or having a job application. I said, I don't have a job. I don't have a medical. They said, well, cannot do to do it. I mean, it took me like lots of hard tries until I managed to fill all the requirements. And when I came in here in Barcelona, when I went to university to apply to get my second admission, they have two admissions. They have the initial admission and they have the one when you arrive here. And when I went here, I mean, hardly anybody speaks English. Even the international student office, nobody speaks English. I mean, it was crazy. From finding the requirement to access their website system is quite difficult. Even with Google Translate, I mean, their mindset is quite different. Even the numbers here is different than back home when you have a digit and you have a comma. I mean dot for sorry, a comma. Here you have a dot instead of a comma. So everything is backward. And finding the housing here was a horror movie. I mean, I remember I used to go and knock the door of Arabian restaurant, find locals to help me with the housing. Is quite difficult. Most of the landlords do not allow tenants for international because they want someone who is working with a straight forward revenue. I mean, they're weird. I mean, took me like many tries. I think eventually by chance I found someone who's an Arabian who was running a business for another Arabian. I had to pay 5 months in advance to get a housing. It's quite expensive. Okay, coming to the biggest part. When I applied for the university, they told me it's in English. I had to present my IELTS scores and everything. When I arrived, they said no, everything in Spanish. So I'm taking 6 courses. 5 of them is in Spanish. Actually, 4 of them are in Spanish. One of them is Spanish and Catalan, it's a different language, and the 6th course was in English. So 6 courses, 5 of them in a foreign language that I don't speak. Could you imagine doing a master's degree in a foreign language you don't speak? I mean, I do speak some Spanish, which I learned via YouTube for 3 months before arriving to help me out with talking in the street. But imagine to go to academic level in a foreign language. And the living here, oh my God, hardly anyone speaks English. I mean, there are few stores, but overall there aren't any. So the life here is quite difficult if you don't speak the language. Other than that, it's a beautiful place, beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful weather. I mean, it's quite an amazing place to live. Well, that's my share for today, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye bye.